Hi there, I'm here to explain to you the first exemplar that we'll be looking at, which is an A3 exemplar looking at the play Othello for the Critical Lens Research Internal. The first thing to note is that the exemplar starts off with a really interesting hypothesis. To what extent is Iago the devil? This is a very tricky hypothesis to start with. And so that's one of the things to notice when you look at it, is that it requires a lot of challenging work. And the first critical source that looks at is defining the term the devil. Now, this is a tricky attempt. So that's part of the problems with this internal right from the start. What does it mean to be the devil, and where are the sources? As you can see, it's using the Bible and eSchola as a source. These sources aren't going to give it the depth of critical lens that it would try to do. So on the one hand, it's a good hypothesis and it's interesting. On the other hand, it's challenging to get positive research and to make a really clear judgment and a perceptive and insightful point. As you go through, it starts to study and analyze Iago as a focus. So it's looking at Iago the character. And as you can see, it's analyzing Iago with some quotations about Iago's thoughts, process, and whatnot. This is where we're getting that 60% focus on Othello. And this script does quite a good job of doing that. As you can see, the paragraphs go through and it's reflecting on a critical source at the end of those paragraphs. As we scan down, we start to see that it's starting to struggle to bring back the focus on the devil and that religious context. It's starting to look a little bit more at evil and coming up with some other theories. It's bringing in some other theories for Iago's point of view, i.e., that maybe he had a jealousy around a relationship with Othello. Again, this is a decent point to make, but it's poorly analyzed in the exemplar. Finally, we go through to the bottom and we would say that this has really good research and a good theory, but it's poorly written. Coming down to the bottom, we get to see the actual conclusions, and the person is able to say they are to some extent, Iago is to some extent the devil. He's almost inhuman with his relationships with other people. And a concern is that the final conclusions this is making are saying that he's not actually the devil. Now, as a teacher, I would say don't go towards this topic because it's too challenging. You're not going to be clear enough. You're not going to be able to make enough of a focus. A better approach would have been to look at the nature of evil or the nature of his antisocial behavior, as it were. But beyond that, it is a solid script showing good research, a good solid focus on the primary text, and more than anything, it covers the research needed. Unfortunately, the judgments and conclusions it makes are not sophisticated enough for excellence. Hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, let me know.